You're always impulse spending. It may be more than just saying you're irresponsible. In fact, it's quite possible that you're dysregulated. Most impulse spending isn't just about wanting stuff, it's about wanting relief. Today, I'll show you what emotional spending really is, why stress triggers it, and the exact system to stop it without shame. I'm good all day, but at night, I buy something. I spend after a hard conversation. Feel guilty, then I avoid my bank app. I hide purchases or minimize them. These are just some of the common symptoms of people who come from traumatic childhoods that have in regards to impulse spending. I myself, being a person who previously had that issue, can tell you that it is quite common. The good news is, as always, there is hope. You feel like you need help, or you're just so desperate with your finances and you don't understand what's going on, it's good. Because one of my mentors would say, sit long enough in the question, answer finds you. Perhaps that day, today, is for you. We're going to go ahead and break down all of the reasons why emotional spending happens and the reasons behind it so that you can grow slow. Impulse spending is often self soothing. My name is Thomas Emmanuel Orms O'Brien, president and co founder of Building a Home Inc. We always introduce ourselves because we understand that our verbiage is very unique to us. Former drug addict and alcoholic, a rehabilitative compulsive liar. I also am a suicide survivor, and for the last 20 years, I've studied all world religions and was on my way actually being a minister. But after I survived suicide, I realized that's not what I was meant to do. Currently in the pursuit of a doctorate of psychology, and I'm very much at this moment autodidact. What all that means that I love to break down the psychology and neuroscience for people who have come from traumatic childhoods, ages utero, 12 years old. If you didn't know, that is the prime time for neurological development every single human planet. You cannot escape that part of science. If you did not have love, consistency, safety during those years of your life, not only were you impacted within the heart, mind, and soul, but your actual neurochemistry is different than other human beings did. That's not to excuse bad behavior, but it is an explanation as to why perhaps you've made some of the decisions you have, or why you've struggled with some of the things that you do. For a very long time in my life, I was very frustrated, self hating, because I didn't even understand why I feel or do some of the things I did. Obviously, yes, I take full responsibility for the choice of life. I don't have many regrets, I do have some, but regardless, at the end of the day, it was my desire for truth and knowledge that led me into pursuing religious scripts and the deep dive study on Western religion, Eastern religion, all over the world, as well as my interest, both the mind and brain. It was my desire to know the truth about myself and my own life that led me on that path. Now, I hope to share my experiences with you. I am on my way to becoming a master of suffering. We'll explain a little bit what that means at a later point. But regardless, today, one of the biggest pain points for people who come from a traumatic childhood is in their finances. Now, some of us happen to do really, really well. That's part of a certain drive, perhaps insinuating circumstances that cause the person to want to become very successful financially. But for the majority, don't end up well. And I myself have only just started to become successful in terms of finance. Regardless, though, I want to explain to you perhaps why you have a problem with investing, what it comes from, because when you can identify the source of a problem, that's the whole point. To be well. To be well means to not deal with symptoms, but locate and address the root problem. So at our company, we are a theistic company that believes in God of the universe expressed through the universal force of love perfectly, Jesus. But we are not religious. In fact, we abhor it. What I mean by that, religion defined us is this: man explaining God for you versus a relationship, God defining himself to you. Big distinction. So, I have personally experienced God in a relationship, love, certainly not anything religious. Walked away from religion, whole other story as to why I believe that system. But through relationship with love, life. Not a perfect one, life living. So we believe that life is like a house, must construct it. Anything worthwhile is done with intention, cannot be lived passively. Just like anything else, start from the ground up. Don't have a good foundation, no matter what you do, will fall. So for us, our foundation, love, truth. Reason why these are synonymous is because love without truth is tolerance. Truth without love, brutality. The next is the basement, which is identity and integrity. Because if your lens for viewing the world is love, truth, then you would be very interested who you are. One of the aims of this channel is to answer what we believe to be the two most important questions for any human being. Life. One, who am I? Or two, why am I here? You talk to most people, they do not have a grasp on answering that question. We believe that answering those two questions, what can the world? If everyone knew who they truly were, what their purpose truly was, then would be heaven, earth. Have self, do, being, doing. So we believe that your identity is something conceived, discoverable. You must go on a journey to find it, right? Because if you believe that we are designed, not, and that's okay. If you believe that we have a design, then you would believe that you have tailor made to you, your fingerprint. No one else on earth has it. Completely your greatest superpower always has been. Now, why integrity? Because to pair integrity with identity is as you are on your journey to discovery, or if you know who you are, then your job would be to 100% live out who you are every single day to the utmost of your capacity. Doing that yet, that's okay, because love and truth is what is propelling you towards that destination. So what happens after that is when you start to get a sense of discovery of who you are and you pair that with integrity, you start to care about yourself. And not in a radicalized self-idolation way, but you understand that you are loved, that the truth of the universe measured in science and the truth about you is behind you, then it propels you to live and act a certain way. So, steward yourself, which is these two categories. That brings us to the first floor, your physical health, your financial health. Love and truth is your foundation, identity and integrity being who you are. Then you would want to be physically healthy, would want to be financially healthy. You have those two things together, it propels you to the next part of the house, which is the second story, vocations or purpose. Doesn't have to be one ultimate huge life changing thing, very well maybe, but you can have multiple purposes. The ultimate purpose would be serving humanity as you are. Because vocation, Latin root vocare, means all, is defined in four different ways. One, you bring who you are into what you do. Firstly, most people, they get their identity from their work. Problem with that is when the work is no longer able to be done, it dies, essentially. You die along. You bring who you are into what you do, not the other way around. Secondly, your purpose in life is tied to the worst thing or things that have ever happened to you. Because the universal common experience for every single human being ever born, ever will be born, is this: pain. Pain is the price that we pay for life. Life is never going to be absent. And so, what do you do with that? The only way life is worth living in spite of pain is if pain redeemed. So, there is only one remedy for pain. That is love, which makes love the most powerful force in the entirety of the universe. So, your pain, things that have happened to you in life, do inform purpose. Your greatest suffering is someone else's ultimate healing. Because you become a dealer in hope. Hope, what propels a healer. Someone is hopeless, you describe that person. In despair. Live in despair for too long, no longer live. Then the next thing is your childhood dreams. Who did you want to be growing up before you experienced pain? When you had an innocent, awe inspiring outlook on the journey to discover, sense of adventure. Must it's always been in you. Last and most importantly, package all through three of those things together: service others. Because ultimate purpose will always be about helping. It is in the science. Daniel Siegel, a brilliant neurologist, psychiatrist, developed what is known as the polyvagal theory. Our very nervous system is designed in notion of a man on an island or a lone wolf is completely false. not perhaps from a philosophical perspective. Sounds cool, it sounds sexy and attractive. I can do it all, I don't need nobody. But it goes against the science. Science is the law book nature. Your truth goes against science. What that does after purpose, it brings you to the next part of the house, which is the attic, otherwise known as joy or hobbies. Simply defined, things you love doing, people that you love doing them with. Again, because science. There's a brilliant psychiatrist, Stuart Brown, who wrote the book called Play. In it, says the opposite of work is not play. The opposite of play is not work, depression. Joy is a requirement. It doesn't run your life. You get to engage in your hobbies all the time because purposeful, hard work is necessary for success. But find joy. Well, regardless, joy is a scientific requirement. Positive must have time for hobbies in life. Otherwise, if you have joy, truly living and wholeness, the aim, you would want nothing missing, broken. May or may not be possible, but that is the purpose of it. That is the direction in which you're headed. Certainly suit. Next, we have the chimney, which is release, forgiveness. What do I mean by that? Let go of the people and things that do not serve your specific purpose. Earth, that relationship you're holding on to, those habits that are holding you back, lack of information, lack of conviction, lack of motivation, all of these things, most of the time, be discovered in the chimney. The chimney, smoke. The smoke is not filtered out of itself and everyone in it, suffocate, death. There was an amazing quote that I read the other day. I forget who the author of that was. It says, "You do not serve the world. There is nothing worth diminishing your for." Now, humbling your diminish who you are to hold back your addition to humanity. Lastly, we have the skylight, light at the top of the house that illuminates every single room. Mind connection or wisdom. Your entire life would start to make sense when you realize that life has happened for you. Not that's what makes a wise capacity to discern difference, knowledge, application. So all of those things together, you have a home. Beautiful. Not perfect. One that was constructed, purpose, intensity, and fulfillment. Happiness is not the ultimate. Fulfillment is. There are very few things that we can quantify that actually fulfill a human being. But there are things that can. Love and truth, identity and integrity, physical health, financial health, purpose, vocations, joy, hobbies, release, you were to have all of those things, would say that life living. Make one thing clear: money is math, spending. So, guys, we're going to just get straight into it. Why stress triggers impulse spending, the root causes. Now, some of these things can be experienced by every human being, but they most heavily affect those who come from childhood. Again, because your brain learned and adapted to your specific environment. Fortunately, it assisted you in making not the greatest of decisions. Good news is, what your brain learned can be unlearned, retrain brain. Wonderful thing called neuroplasticity. Constantly create new connections, new things in your brain that assist you upward aim, becoming the person we're always be. One of the first things that happens is that dopamine equals relief. Dopamine is a chemical response in the brain of your reward system. So, feel rewarded by something, you get a dopamine release in the brain that spreads signals to your entire body, elicit some response to that or emotion. Number two, decision fatigue. When you're exhausted, opposed to delayed gratification, choose comfort now. Very common. Now, right away, so you don't have to wait. You can just have it. But when you start to live like that, you live on your impulse. That's living like an animal. The difference between a human being and other mammals is, number one, our capacity for delayed gratification, vision. The most important ancient manuscript says, without a vision, will perish. Number three, scarcity mindset. If things can fall apart, I should grab what I can. Common in psychology literature now, two different types, primarily two different types of mindsets and have. Scarcity mindset, as I mentioned, the abundance set. It is a world view, how you view things, your personal belief system, and your responses, how the world works. If you're in scarcity, it means you believe there's not enough for everyone, not enough for you. You constantly are living in fear of lack. That could be lack not only in your finances, but in every area of your life. There's love for you, purpose for you. You can't do it. They all have it. I don't have it. That's scarcity mindset. Is one of the greatest lies in humanity today. There is enough for everyone to eat at the table. Mother Earth, though perhaps damaged, still rich. Yes, it is our job to steward her. You can only steward her if you're in a position of power, not a position of victim. So, your greatest success lies on the other side, everything, and avoiding. 4. Emotional deprivation. You didn't get comfort properly as a kid, your adult brain finds substitute. So, like I said earlier, the very potent and required mix, healthy brain activity, your childhood, love, safety, predictability. Without those three things, you cannot develop what's called secure attachment. You believe have the power to be a member of this life from love. When a human being is operating from a state of love, they are the most, right? So when you don't get that, your brain does something called adapt, survive. An intelligent response. Maladaptive coping mechanisms are intelligent responses. So you don't have to beat yourself up. But once you're made of aware of something, have the opportunity to change it. At BHI, we say clarity, awareness, options, opportunities. Story short, you can't fix a problem if you don't know you have one. So you're able to identify that you're making these choices and performing these actions because you're looking for something far more specific. Not the item in itself you are purchasing. Trying to purchase love, safety, ability. That is one thing I can assist. For 5, shame loop. Stress, spend, shame, to avoid. More stress leads to spend again. Thing called cognitive dissonance. Inner beliefs not match your actions. If you were to feel ashamed about something, it means inherently, no, it was the wrong decision to make. So, you must learn to break yourself out of that shame loop. I said earlier, not buying the item, buying feeling. So let's break down the emotional spending loop. So, how it works usually is this: trigger, and that trigger elicits an emotion. Emotion tells you a story that you've believed, right? From that story, you then spend whatever the narrative is. That spending gives you relief in the moment. Then that relief quickly turns into shame. And that shame turns into avoidance, because that is what happens when a human being ashamed. They shrink, they reduce, they die. Then that avoidance, the trigger again. Use some examples: loneliness, conflict, payday. I remember I used to get paid on Friday. Sunday would come around, almost all my money would be gone. Had bills. Wasn't great. Boredom at night. Say, idle hands are of the devil. Expression. You're bored, your brain is going to seek some of fulfillment. Now, there is discipline in boredom, learning how to have stillness in your life, not always needing to be able to do something. Rest. Oh, other one is I deserve this. One of those narratives that we were, because I did X, I should spend and buy X. Okay. Or our generation age, seeing other people's lives online. There is so much study going into how sociology is affected by social media. Even people who feel less than commit suicide because they don't feel as though their life is where it should be in comparison to someone else's. One thing we have to remember is that everyone that posts their best face forward. And me, I always do my best to be genuine and be honest, but who wants to put out a bad video? By bad, meaning perhaps negative in its connotation, nothing positive or uplifting. But I'm not perfect. Mistakes all the time. I'm still learning as well. Build properly. Again, like I said earlier, my wife and I are doing so much better than we were before. But the journey of discovery, you will fall flat on your face. There will be ideas that you try, concepts that you learn that you don't get right away. But it's about trying again, fail, succeed again. Pretty simple. But here is a brick by brick system to stop emotional spending. Give you some tools. For one, name the trigger, what we call a basement truth. If you can't name it, you can't defeat it. There's a power within the psyche and neurology of a human being that when you admit the truth, literally your stress system in the body changes. Your cortisol levels lower. Your adrenaline may spike for a moment if you're not used to facing the truth in life, but your actual nervous system goes from parasympathetic to sympathetic. Because an old adage in one of the oldest manuscripts in the entirety of the world, known as the Bible, says this: the truth sets you free. That is freedom, whatever the truth is, especially truth about yourself. Not the truth you believe, what's actually true. So before buying, ask this question: what am I feeling right now? Pick one word: anxious, lonely, angry, bored, shamed, tired, all of those things. Brick number two, the 10-minute delay. Interrupt that loop. Set a timer for 10 minutes, no purchase during that timer. What does that do? Is this breaks the automatic behavior. A lot of our neurology is based off of patterns, habits. You can observe the pattern, replicate it, good one, and break it, the bad one. Pattern recognition is one of the greatest skills for all successful people worldwide. Every affluent individual understands pattern recognition. Trick number three, replace the relief. So, when a human being is in loss because you're losing something, the habit doesn't stick unless you also gain. Which is why here we would rather give you tools that suggest you stop doing something, right? Because just do better doesn't work. That's not how neurochemistry is designed. If a human being experiences loss, for healthy brain activity and development, there must be a replacement gain. A death must bring a life, eventually a life, a death. It's the cycle, right? So we have what we call the healthy relief menu, as opposed to that impulse spend in the moment, do something else. And you need a list ready for the trigger hiss. You don't have to use ours, but use something that is better for you than making that purchase. So do something physical, right? Because Tony Robbins talks about how you must change your state for lasting effect, right? You must connect mind with the body. They're already connected, whether you understand or know or believe that or not. But to deliberately make that connection, give yourself something physical to do as opposed to making that impulse purchase. Do 10 push ups, drink some water, right? Or take a 5-minute walk outside, right? Or text someone, in accountability. Tell them, listen, I'm stressed, about to do this, right? Hop in the shower. Could be hot or cold. Either way, it'll snap you out of it. Good journal. I journal all the time. In fact, I walk around with a journal wherever I go in case I happen to be inspired by an amazing idea. I can jot it down. If you're a theistic individual, you could engage in worship, prayer. Make tea. There are lots of teas out there that are beneficial not only for your health, for your psyche as well. Calming teas, right? Because we must remember that our mind state, our mental state, is tied to our nervous system. You have a nervous system out of whack, 9 times out of 10, not that great. Or you could clean. Instead of making that purchase, go sweep the rug. Go wipe down the bathroom. Something to get you out of that loss and give you gain. So you just don't remove the habit, replace the relief. Trick number 4. There's something that we call sanity money. This is where joy comes in. Comes to finances, finances can be used as a tool to help fuel joy. You can go and purchase an experience instead of an item, but make it planned spending. My wife and I, we budget $125 every week for fun. Save way more than that, but we budget $125 for fun, whatever it is. If it's going out to a restaurant, if it's going to the movies, if it's going to an arcade, if it's going down to the beach and listening to live music and then going for a walk, going to a concert, whatever it is, every week we have that money set aside for specific joyful spending, not spur of the moment caca. Okay? Because unplanned restriction oftentimes creates rebellion. So when you are intentional about your joyous spending, that helps shift your mindset. Trick number 5 is to remove frictionless spending. Create some barrier between you and your spending. What do I mean by that? Delete all the saved cards off of your phone. You have this new thing now called Apple Pay or Google Pay or Venmo or Cash App. We don't even have to physically pull things out anymore and drive to a store to purchase things. It's all right on our fingertips. Which is why part of it is the problem. There is that convenience factor to it. Log out of Amazon on your phone. Now, if you happen to be a disciplined individual with self-control, problem. But if you're on the mend for these, give yourself distance. Possibility of your bad habit strength, whatever your new habit that is beneficial placement of is. Right? Move your shopping apps on your phone, Walmart, Target. I mean, all of the outlets now, they have apps. Again, you don't have to drive to the place, physically pick up the item, physically pay for it. It's just too easy. Then lastly, use one card, one debit card. Just one. There's no need for multiple cards, multiple accounts. Obviously, if you're in business, there is need there. But we're not talking about that. If you don't own a business or you're not an individual with assets that require guarding, and careful consideration through estate planning, you do not need more than one account. Obviously, and especially if you're in a long-term committed relationship, joint account. Because one thing that people don't like about a joint account, some ability. Does your partner see everything you buy? Just a question. Brick number 6. We've talked about this in previous videos before. This is what we call the skylight filter. Wisdom. Use this skylight filter before you buy anything. It's 3 questions. Number 1, what's true? In that moment, ascertain the truth. Whatever the truth is in that moment, what's true? So when it comes to impulse spending, do I need this? 99.99% of the time, you don't. Number 2, what's wise long term? Be a person of success. To build a life intentionally, must learn delayed gratification. Set that goal, save for that goal, and accomplish that goal. The dopamine hit you will receive for what is wise long term far exceeds and outweighs the dopamine hit you will have from purchasing something you don't need now. For 3, what aligns with who I'm becoming? Does that purchase fuel your purpose? Doesn't? Already know the right answer. You buy it. So when your purchases start to fuel your purpose, then you know you're on track. Brick number 7, do a weekly review. Wife and I, part of our weekend routine on Friday evenings, we do the budget together. Look at our budget for the week, ascertain all the bills that must be paid, allocate our savings, allocate our fun money, our sanity money, which is the $125, right? Make the plan. Where are we going to spend it? How are we going to spend it? And it's very quick. Just one 15-minute money meeting weekly. So you can review for yourself what triggered your spending. Start to, again, observe the pattern, right? What worked for you? Then you can adjust. So it's about progress, not perfection. Just get started. Alex Hormozy, most prolific business owners of our generation, he says this: a courageous idiot will always make it way farther than an intelligent coward. You don't have to have it all figured out right away. Just start. When you start, that action will create momentum. That momentum will bring clarity, and that clarity will do what? Fuel more action. Just start. Give yourself the chance for the first time in your life for your finances to be building towards something greater. Doesn't even have to be what I'm doing. Whatever you're supposed to be doing. Choose hope for the first time in your life. Don't let the opportunity. Can do well with your finances because money is math, an inanimate object. It has no emotion whatsoever. One with the emotion is us. So when you can distance yourself from the emotion of your money, it can become a tool. One of my mentors, John Maxwell, most prolific authors on leadership, runs a $50 million a year business. He says, you're either leading your money or your money is leading you. Take control. Start to build tension. Brick number 7, I'm going to give you some practical examples, right? walk you through a real scenario. You could have, let's say your trigger is a hard day at work. Your boss was on your ass all day long. You barely accomplished your task, or you couldn't accomplish your task because you're in a hostile work environment, whatever the case may be. Your coworker is a piece of garbage, or no, doesn't even have to be personal warfare with another human being. It can just be, the computers went down, or the system servers went down, whatever it is. Hard day at work, right? So your emotion is exhaustion, shame and exhaustion. Then tell yourself that story, that narrative that we talked about. I deserve this. Do you though? Do you deserve it? Do you really deserve to make that purchase after you had a hard day when there are billions of human beings having hard days every single day? Is your hard that hard? You're in the top percent of wealth in the world if you make more than $35,000 a year. That's the top 1% of wealth in the world. People dying of starvation every single day. People homeless every single day. Was your day that hard? So do that intervention. Do that 10-minute timer. Look up your relief menu, whatever it is. Do those 10 push ups, drink a glass of water, take a 5-minute walk. Build something, clean something. Here's the thing, you don't need stronger willpower, you need a better system. If you can implement a system, something that you can follow, that's easy every single day, every single week, you will succeed. The richest people in the world, they say it's not about your habits, it's about your systems. If you develop the better system for yourself, you will develop better habits as a result. So here's the thing. As always, we want to close hope. You're not bad with money. Because bad with money doesn't mean bad with money. If you're bad with your finances are a reflection of your internal state. What you believe about yourself, God, and the world. Finances will always reflect. You can learn regulation, safety. First floor is about physical health, brick, financial health, find at PHI Simple. Get on a budget. Know what your money is doing, when it's doing it, why it's doing it, who it's doing it with, how it's doing it. You'll know what to do. Get out of debt. Be in debt is to be a slave. True freedom is only found when you owe no man nothing. Number 3, you're doing those 3 things, you are financially healthy. Now, volume varies person to person. Some people can be way far ahead of you if they're investing for the future and they've been investing for the future for a long time. Point being is, it is possible for everyone. Just about the right information, application, right information. Love for you to come join us in our Skool community. The link will be posted down below. Monthly Q&As, answer any of your questions, or just to hang out, because we're people. We're meant to be. Also, paid versions of what we do. We will more than happily tailor make, walk you through building a home framework that you can obtain the tools, live your own whole life, not your gurus. We have the power to change nothing. You You can do that. Power of one. Get that. This has been Thomas Emmanuel O'Brien. Love you guys.